Welcome, welcome. Welcome to this little segment we wanted to create a segment on fear. But truly, we feel the topic of the day would be anger. Anger. Why anger? Tracy is receiving collective consciousness. Tracy has moved aside to allow source energy to flow through with the gifts of mediumship, sharing insights and grand wisdom. So Tracy chose the topic of fear because often she finds herself in fearful moments, not truly understanding how she arrived at the fearful moment. So take one is just drifting off to sleep. They're in their comfy, cozy bed and all is quiet. And all of a sudden, fear strikes. Fear comes in. And she asked us, why would I do that? Why would I do that when everything was so comfortable and peaceful and at ease? Just when I got settled, I had thoughts of fear, thoughts of the future, thoughts of many things that caused me fear. Why did I do that? And the answer is truly thought and thought process. We asked her, were you fearful before you became fearful? Meaning, what were you doing that created the fear? And she realized she was in her comfy, cozy bed, all things quiet and very content, when the feeling of fear emerged. So it wasn't as though she was presented something that would cause fear and then a reaction to, say, someone pounding on the door when one is sitting quietly, let's say. You jump, it's fearful. Have that moment of fear. But she was laying quietly, content, peaceful, and then fearful thoughts came her way. And she wanted to know, why did I do that? Why would I ruin a beautiful night's sleep over something that I cannot control? And it truly stems from thought and thought processes. So with that conversation, we want to continue with the emotion of anger. Why? Because so many can reach anger very quickly. And many times, anger is brought forth the same way fearful thoughts would be brought forth, in the sense of thought process alone. So something could have happened decades ago, and if one ponders it, thinks about it, they become agitated and angry. What created that? It was the thought. Now, there are sometimes something is presented, just like fear, something is presented, and it creates a space to react in anger. But so many times, ones are carrying the burden of anger and the burden of fear. We almost want to combine it. It is powerful to combine it because the two are very different, are they not? Anger is anger, fear is fear. Very two different emotions to be feeling. But the similarity, and it could go with any emotion, but these two are the most sort of predominant. That ones can become fearful by thought alone very quickly, and ones can become angry by thought alone very quickly. Where let us take joy, contentment, peacefulness, happiness. It is difficult for ones to arrive at that emotion very quickly. Why is that? Is that not fascinating? Is that not fascinating to you? That one quick thought can lead one to fear when there isn't anything around other than thought that would create fear, and the same as anger. But a thought alone about joy and happiness ones feel it is not easily arrived to. They have to really ponder. It takes a lot. And it almost feels like one has to go into a meditation to feel better. Or one has to do this and have all these steps in order to bring forth happiness. Happiness is an emotion such as fear and anger. But why is it difficult to arrive quickly to? The other ones, for Tracy, she was laying so quietly, and then a thought came in her mind, and then that thought led to another thought, that led to another thought, that led to another thought. And before she knew it, she was fearful of something that she has no control over. She started thinking about time and years gone by, and where did the time go, and feeling fearful, not of running out of time, but fearful of how much time has gone by, sort of in a blink of an eye. Anger can emerge with a snap of a finger, truly, because it is something that one's feel, if you will, that can be brought forth quickly because it feels that it has more power, force. Think about anger. It goes outwards. Whoa, frustration. Outwards. Fear can go inward, but it is a strong emotion, causing all kinds of havoc within one's being, and anger does the same. If you were to place your beautiful body cells, and if you were to think about how your cells react to your thoughts, we would share that ones would be much more mindful at the emotions they want to arrive to quickly. Now that can be challenged because Tracy will say, well, I didn't care to arrive to feel fearful when I was so content, drifting off to sleep, and all of a sudden it was almost like a jolt. Where did all the time go? Where did the time go? And she's not thinking about a few days. She was going back a decade and a half. How could all this have happened in this amount of time? There are hundreds of reasons to feel fearful. There are hundreds and thousands of reasons to feel anger. And there are hundreds and thousands of reasons to feel of joy, peace, and gratefulness. So we want to combine many subjects all in one to say that if one could see within one's inner body, if you will, all the beautiful cells, we want to say playfully dancing along in the process of healing. And all of a sudden, the thought of fear comes in, the thought of anger comes in, or the reaction to the thought, if you will. Your body naturally reacts to that, as you already know. It feels awful on the entire body to feel fearful. It feels beyond awful to the entire body to feel anger. And it feels only joy within the body when one feels joy, happiness, contentment, peacefulness. The body has the opportunity to align, if you will, and allow healing and natural healing process within oneself. When ones bring themselves to thoughts of anger and fear, we're just using those two because they are very powerful. They're powerful within one's body. We are just wanting to bring attention that if ones could understand what takes place within one's physical apparatus when these thoughts surface and then held on to, and then the emotion experienced, if you will. We would guide gently, and this is what Tracy did. Why did I have those thoughts? And she truly was very mindful to bring herself back to that beautiful feeling of peace she had only moments before. She was on her way to sleep. And how many have woken at 3 a.m. or 2 a.m., pick the time, before one is to rise out of bed, feeling the sense of panic, feeling the sense of. How many times have one feel upset in the middle of the night? How many times? We would guide to remind yourself of what is taking place in the physical body. One moment. We are wanting to share, to show what happens inside one's body when anger and fear arise. Now, it is true that ones are equipped, fight and flight, ones are equipped. If something is cause fear for a grand reason, ones have the ability, the body goes into that mode of protection, if you will, of quick response, adrenaline rush, if you will. But when ones bring that emotion by thought alone, where does it go? Where does it go? Where does the reaction go? So we would ask gently that be very mindful with your thoughts throughout the day. Be very mindful and ask yourself the question, why is it so, we want to say easy, natural feeling to bring anger upon myself by thought alone, by bringing fear upon myself by thought alone, but bringing joy and contentment and happiness and ease and grace has a hard time to surface by thought alone. Why is that? It is a wonderful, grand question to ponder. We would encourage ones to seek the answer. We will share what the answer is, but we would guide and ask, why does it feel just like that? And the answer is because ones feel that fear and anger and the like are natural responses, almost as self-defense. But the irony to it all is that joy and happiness is the grandest self-defense anyone can give oneself. Isn't that fascinating? Because when we spoke about the cells within one's body, when ones can replace the feeling of fear and anger, resentment, harsh, all that, when ones can bring themselves to a peaceful moment, cells align and become very peaceful, allowing healing. So what is your grandest self-defense, if you will? Joy, happiness, love, contentment. The feeling of love alone has the capacity, if you will, to heal the body in such a glorious way, to replenish, to rejuvenate. It is your greatest self-defense, if you will. Anger and fear opens a space for the body to react in a way where it's moving around. It is when there is, think about when there's something that is presented itself that brings fear. All of a sudden a child runs out. Go and grab the child. Fear and a quick reaction too. And there's many situations, experiences that bring about legitimate fear. There are many experiences that feels like it brings about legitimate anger. But we would guide gently and ask, how long do you wish to carry it for? Because when something like a child running out, the child is picked up, scooped up, and loved, don't do that again. In a while, the body And doesn't it feel exhausting when all is well, everything is fine, the child is fine, you are fine, and you just sit quietly, taking the deepest breath of gratitude that one can find. And then the body then naturally returns to, we want to say, the pureness of. The pureness of, everything in alignment and balance. But at that moment, your body reacted in a way that once could go quickly. That is what it's all about. So it does feel natural. That feeling of gratitude truly is we want to say, the remedy to bring forth the grandest healing. And it is true. Gratitude, compassion, kindness, love. Oh, it is not only good for one's soul or one's mind, but what it does to one's physical body is beyond measure. Beyond measure. Have you seen someone so joyous that you can see their light shining through their eye? You can see light emanating forth from their whole being. It just shows. And when ones are living in the state of fear, it shows. And when ones are living in the state of anger, it shows. It shows. But how does it show? Through the physical body, if you will. Through the facial expressions, the way one is standing. If one is angry and agitated, they're brisk when they walk. Everything is heavy. They place something on the table and it's heavy. And fists are, it shows in everything they do. And when one is joyful and happy, the body moves so gracefully. Have you noticed? Ones will say, that one is happy, just by the way they have we want to say, a prance in their step, a lightness, lighthearted. The inner workings of the body feel exactly the same way. So we would guide that if you feel that fear has surfaced from a thought, but there's really nothing around, such as Tracy drifting off to sleep, we would guide and gently take some deep breaths, inhales and outhales, and remind yourself that your inner workings, your inner being, every cell in your body will feel so much better when you shift the thought. And that's what it takes, a shift in thought. So how would one shift from feeling fearful and angry when something has surfaced by thought alone? One would then shift the thought. Think about something opposite to anger naturally. Think about something soothing to the soul. So Tracy brought herself to the moment. She thought about the beautiful bed coverings, if you will. She thought about the peacefulness in the entire home. Nigel the cat was down beside the bed and he was snoring. And this brought her great peace. And she just brought herself to the point of relaxing once again, understanding that the thoughts surfaced that brought fear. When ones are truly mindful of how thoughts and emotions bring forth well-being or bring forth the opposite of, ones would be more quick, if you will, to control the thoughts. Now, doesn't it sound easy? 1, 2, 3. You're feeling awful. You're feeling a fear of life. Whatever's bringing you fear, just drop it and think about beautiful flowers. We understand it is not easy to do. It is not easy to do at all. And it's so easy to allow thoughts to not get out of control, but yes, get out of control. But again, we ask the question, why cannot happy thoughts, thoughts of contentment and peace, get out of control? Why is that? Why is that? So we would gently guide to allow a few deep breaths and allow the feeling of gratitude to be felt. I am grateful. Even if you're sitting and having what would be felt as panic, if you will, because of thought alone, not when you're reacting to something such as fear, retrieving a child that is going to go out onto the road. You're not going to stop and be grateful and then go and retrieve the child. This is when thoughts alone create the emotion. This is what we're speaking about. One can be very grateful after the crisis is over. But we're speaking about ones that can bring thoughts, and it is so natural to do. Going about daily activity, picking something up, it reminds you of. Hearing somebody's voice or knowing the person that made you angry is around you, you feel anger. We understand. It is all understood. We would just guide gently for you to bring forth the wellness in your own being. It is your greatest self-protection. When you are feeling fearful and fearful of the world or fearful of the future, hundreds of thousands of reasons, replacing that fear with the sense of happiness. Again, why does it feel so difficult to arrive to? Fear was very easy. Wasn't it easy? But happiness, one will think, well, I can't think about being happy and be happy. Are you kidding me? Do you live my life? What are you talking about? It is an emotion. It is who you are. It is who you are. And it is always there to bring forth. So we want to wrap this up. We don't want the videos to be so long, but it is difficult when there is a powerful message to go out. Sometimes you just can't get it all in 3 minutes or less. And would we want to? No, we would not want to. So it was a gentle conversation to allow space for ones to understand, to be mindful of their thoughts and thought processes, to be mindful of what emotion is coming forth because of the thought processes, and then to be deeply mindful of what is taking place in the inner body because of the thought and the emotions that have been brought forth by thought alone. The feeling of peace and joy, contentment and love, gratitude, appreciation is we want to say, your grandest self-defense towards anger and fear. It is your greatest healing within your body. It is the grandest of healing within your body. Just think about how awful you feel when you feel fearful or when you feel anger. Feel how awful it is in your body. It's exhausting. It is exhausting. Fear, anger, exhausting. When it is brought on by thought alone. Happiness, contentment, peacefulness, joy. It is the healing of one's mind, body, and soul. Laughter. Bring forth laughter. And if you are on your own and you have a thought of something that struck you funny, it's thoughts that changes your emotions most of the time. So bring forth a thought opposite to, and understand that your entire body is saying, oh, thank you. Thank you, for we are one, we are whole, we are expansive. rejuvenating, replenishing. Think of your inner workings just of the deepest gratitude, because you, again, we know it is all you, but you were able to control your thoughts to bring peace to the entire body, not just your own thoughts. Think of what your thoughts are creating with emotions coming forth. Think of the emotion that is coming forth, and then ask yourself, is my body enjoying this? Am I enjoying this? Sometimes, yeah. Sometimes it's good to get angry. Some people enjoy anger. It can be addictive anger. One's living in anger all the time. They feel they have a right to feel anger. So they express anger. But their entire inner workings of their body is gently asking to please change the thoughts, put the anger down. Put the anger down so your entire being can align and balance. Nurture yourself with your thoughts and your emotions and your love towards oneself. So that is the sharing for this day. A beautiful sharing. There is great love for you. Oh, thank you. Thank you so much.